So if you're in that early phase on Upwork and struggling to get responses to your proposals, I know how it feels. I was there as well. And by the end of this video, hopefully you'll have learned ways to stand out from the crowd. I'm going to share 6 of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, that I made, and that I see people make as somebody who now hires on Upwork. And I'm also going to share 2 ways to help you stand out from the crowd. And one of them was a technique that a freelancer I was helping used, and he managed to land a 6-figure client because he used this technique. He didn't have any reviews on Upwork on his profile at the time. Before we dive into the mistakes, the first thing I will say is that the best clients on Upwork, and you have to remember this, the best ones are really busy. So when they get 50 proposals, they're not reading them all. And I know as somebody who hires on Upwork, 90 to 95% of them are the same. What they're looking for is somebody who gets them, somebody who understands them, not somebody who's going to do the best job, but somebody who's going to be the best fit, somebody who they feel like is going to be a partner for them, is going to be somebody who's going to go on a journey with them. And that comes across in a proposal, particularly in the early moments of a proposal. And like I said, when you get 50 plus proposals, you're not reading them all. You're really making that decision very quickly on a scan. And what you say in the opening moments is super important to that. And we'll get into that. But I know as somebody who hires again, I'm looking for somebody who wants to work with me, who wants to create a relationship. And that's again, it's not the fact that everyone who posts on Upwork is looking for this. Some of them are just looking for somebody to do the job quick and move on and not have too much communication. But I think the best clients, the ones who are going to stay with you the longest, give you the most work, give you more work and refer you to others, generally this is the template for finding them clients. And this is the opportunity. So let's first of all go through 6 of the biggest mistakes that I see people make. And number 1 is copying and pasting. No matter how well your proposal is crafted, there's no one proposal that is good for 2 jobs. So you've always got to be writing them from scratch. There can be elements that are similar or the same in each proposal, but they should be down within the proposal. Those opening moments, that opening paragraph is absolutely key. And you can't deliver that in a copy and paste template. You've got to dig in and read the proposal and understand the client and make that clear very early on. And I'll explain how to do that. But my point here is don't open every job you see that feels like it might be a fit and paste a proposal that will get you nowhere. I promise you. Number 2 is AI, the use of AI. I see this all the time. It's so obvious when a proposal is written by AI. What people are doing, I can see, is they're taking the job post, they're feeding it to AI. They're saying, craft a perfect proposal based on this job posting. And then it's just trying to mirror your phrases. So if I say I'm looking for somebody with 3 years experience, somebody who has edited multiple podcasts before, who uses their initiative and doesn't need their hand held, and then I get a reply, a proposal that says, I've got 3 years experience. I've worked on other podcasts. I use my initiative really well and I don't need my handheld. It's so obvious, and mirroring is a genuine thing that works. But when it's so blatantly obvious, it doesn't work. And I think AI has that problem. AI is great and use it to help you craft, to proofread, to brainstorm. But you've got to make that human connection very early on. And AI just can't do that for you. Number 3 is talking about yourself too much. I've numerous videos where I mentioned this, but saying that I have all these years of experience and that I've worked here and there and I've won this award doesn't connect with a client. What connects with them is, again, for them to feel like that you understand them, that you are interested in creating a relationship with them. What's the outcome that they're looking for? Start with that. Start with something about them. That just makes that instant connection of, I understand what you're doing, I see what you're doing, and I've got a genuine interest here. And that leads me to number 4, and you may be applying for the wrong jobs. I think you've got to apply for ones you feel a genuine connection to. You've got to get an instinct for what feels like not something you can do, but something you're actually interested in doing. And that way you can get that genuine interest in very early on in the proposal. So don't apply for everything you think you can do. Apply for the ones you feel you're a right fit for. Now, it's taken me a long time to look at tons of job postings to get that sense of, yes, this one's right for me. There needs to be a genuine reason why it's right. Second of all, there might be a number of flags as to things you shouldn't apply for. So the first thing to do, scroll down and see how many people they're interviewing. That will indicate what stage they're at. If they're in the interviewing phase, certainly if it's more than 2, the odds are probably stacked against you. And generally these flags are about making the odds in your favor as opposed to against you, and making sure you don't waste connects and effort, because like I say, every application should have effort put in. That's what it takes to get your first reply, to get your first job. So if they're in the interviewing phase, I can promise you they're not looking for more proposals. They're speaking to people, they're waiting to speak to people on calls, and your proposal is just going to go completely ignored. Another thing to look at is the invites. This is what you don't want to see. 17 invites. I just think that's excessive. They've found a ton of people that they think might be potentially good fits on the platform, and they've sent them invites. That's why they're interviewing so many people as well. Your proposal here is just going wasted. I know as somebody who hires, when I'm sending invites, I might pick 2 or 3. 17, it's just absolutely excessive. So your chances of getting the job ahead of the 17 people that they've invited, and clearly 5 have responded, are very low. So there you see 12 haven't responded. They're going to hire one of them 5. Most likely, again, odds stacked against you. Don't go with that. The next one is to take a look at the reviews. Generally, you want to see a good record. I mean, something like this is absolutely perfect. That is something that looks like a really good client. A lot of freelancers recommending. You can see there the rates that they're paying seem very fair. It seems like an excellent client. That's what you want to see. What you don't want to see is something like this. Freelancers saying they've got a bad experience. Now, I think 1 or 2 you can let go, but if you see this consistently throughout the history, it's a massive red flag, and it's not worth getting involved in, certainly not as your first client, because the last thing you need with your first client is for them to be difficult and then potentially not give you a 5-star review, because 5-star reviews are so important early on. Another thing to look at is the hire rate. You want to see something like this: 426 jobs posted. That's a lot. 85% hire rate. That's good. What you don't want to see, 423 jobs posted, 33% hire rate. I mean, to me, that's pretty low. So they're posting a lot of jobs and not filling them. That's just one that doesn't feel worth it to me. The final one you want to consider is probably the least important, is the location. Generally, you'll have a better chance of somebody who's near your location, especially for that first hire. Early on, I applied for a lot of people who are in Ireland and the UK, because there was that sense of cultural difference wasn't going to be too much. Time zone wasn't going to be an issue. Whereas I've lost out on jobs in the past when they've been usually Australia, New Zealand, because the time zone difference is so big to Ireland. They felt I maybe wouldn't be available when I was needed. Now, I do have clients in those regions, but for that first hire, I think people, if they're going to give you a chance, they may want you to be close in terms of a cultural fit and in terms of time zone fit. Like I say, it's probably the last one on the list. If everything else feels good, then I would say go for it. But just one more thing to take into consideration. Number 5 is your pricing. And it's just a massive mistake I see people make. They may be super talented, they may have loads of experience, but they price based on that experience and talent, as opposed to pricing based on their Upwork background. So if in your industry, if you were doing a local job, your price point might be $60 an hour, I don't think you can go into Upwork with that price, because there's probably people with less experience offering $50 an hour, but they have a ton of reviews. And the fact that you've no reviews will always work against you. So you got to give people a reason to give you a chance. And if you're pricing at around the same price as other competitors, but they have reviews and you don't, it becomes very difficult. So watch your pricing. I mean, when I think about it this way, my first Upwork job was $6 an hour. And at the time I was working in a job that paid me about $25 an hour. So you can see how far I dropped down. How much you drop down is really, a question of what way you want to play it. I don't think you need to drop down as far as I did. For me, I was just looking for that first job so I can get that first review. But that's the process, it's getting that first job so you can get that first review. The next job doesn't have to be as low as that. You can price a bit higher and a bit higher and a bit higher. That's how I went from $6 an hour to $75 an hour over the course of about 3 years. 2 ways to help you really stand out from the crowd, because I think that is the biggest challenge. Number one, and like I said, this is a technique that another freelancer I was working with used and landed an absolute life-changing client. I've got a specific video on the process we did to make this happen. But in essence, it is trying to get information about the client so you can send them a message on another platform is basically the idea. So what are you looking for? You're going to look for their name, which will be in the reviews. You're going to look for their location. You're going to look for some sort of reference to a business or a project or a channel name. And with that, use Google to search that person and send them a message on either Instagram, LinkedIn, or email. Keep it short and concise. But what it'll do is show that you've gone that extra step, that you want to work with them so much so that you've figured out who they are and gone and sent them a message on another platform. I think that says a lot, and most people won't do that. I think your message and what you say needs to be good and thoughtful. Generally, I would be upfront with them and say, I saw the post on Upwork, I did apply, but just so you know, I don't have a footprint on Upwork, I don't have any reviews, but here's why I think I'd be a perfect fit. And keep it short, tell them why you think you're a right fit, and try and get them on a call. And they'll probably give you a chance because you've actually gone to that extra effort. And you can get them on a call, and then you don't know what can happen from there. You can really close that sale from there. So that absolutely works. I would just send them on one platform. Don't bombard them. And like I said, this is something that I helped another freelancer do, and he landed an absolute life-changing client. The other one is to record a quick video message, very casual, very, again, short and sweet, and attach it to your proposal. And something like this that's just super casual, super authentic. Let them see that you're a real person, that you're, if you've gone to a little bit of extra effort to record a video for them. Sometimes I might, if they're looking for help on a YouTube channel, I might open up some other YouTube channels that I've helped, or something that I can relate directly to what they've posted, and explain basically in a short amount of time as possible as to why I'm a good fit for the project. So those are the mistakes, and those are the ways you can stand out as somebody a little bit different on Upwork. And I hope this is helpful. I'm trying to do these videos regularly to freelance smarter, not harder. And if you want more on Upwork, or if you want more on proposals and pitching to clients, you can let me know in the comments. If this was in any way helpful, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. I'd be super grateful, and hopefully see you on the next one.